Not to mention free refreshment!
Welcome to episode 2 of Vex Views Decks, which officially makes this a series now. In this series, I go over one of the many archetypes from the YuGiOh card game. I'll talk about the archetype's conceptual design, the pack history of it, the playstyle of it, the competitive relevancy of it, any appearances in the anime, manga, or lore in the card game itself, and my personal thoughts on the archetype as a whole. Then I'll go through the cards one by one, reviewing and riffing on each of them. So prepare your anus with aliens. Aliens are based off, aliens. From more humanoid aliens to multi-armed aliens with claws, and even Cthulhu-like squid creatures. Most of the aliens have strange orbs on their bodies, the color of which usually corresponds to their attribute. It also has the unfortunate side effect of making them look like they have weird boobs. Aliens debuted in 2006 with Power of the Duelist. I know, I thought they were a 5Ds archetype too. It wasn't exactly a good start for the aliens, bringing us disappointments like Alien Skull, Alien Mother, and Flying Saucer Musiki. Alien Warrior was a solid card though. The back row brought in was just as bad, with crop circles and orbital bombardment. Brainwashing Beam was a solid card though. The aliens in the following set were even worse, but that's to be expected from the set is Cyberdark Impact. The next few sets following that would introduce a couple of alien cards too. Crimson Crisis in 2008, being a 5Ds Zara pack, brought Alien Ammonite and Cosmic Fortress Garr, as well as some other great alien cards like Alien Overlord, Mysterious Triangle, and Planet Pollutant Virus. The pack following it, Raging Battle, gave us Alien Dog. Then all the alien support just stopped. Well, okay, Absolute Power Force in 2009 technically gave us an alien card with Alien Brain, but that's not full-on alien support. Then nearly 10 fucking years later in 2016 with Invasion Vengeance, we got A-Cell Recombination Device. It was great modern support for an old archetype, but nothing to put aliens on the radar. It seems like Konami has done all they wanted to do with aliens, which is unfortunate. Aliens are all reptile monsters, and utilize one of the more underutilized mechanics in YuGiOh. Counters. A-counters to be precise, and aliens have many ways to quickly place a lot of them on your opponent's monsters, and even your own cards in some cases. Aliens then utilize the A-counters to control your opponent's cards in a variety of ways, and often literally. A-counters themselves do nothing on their own, unless you control an alien with this specific line of text in parentheses. If a monster with an A-counter battles an alien monster, it loses 300 attack and defense for each A-counter during damage calculations only. If you do not control an alien that has that text, the stat debuff does not occur. However, this effect stacks. For example, if you control 2 alien monsters with that text, enemy monsters would lose 600 stats for each A-counter instead of just 300. I'll be referring to this as the A-counter debuff effect when going through the cards. Unfortunately, aliens, while decent for their time, just couldn't keep up with the speed of the game. The whole counter mechanic itself is just too slow to fully utilize, since most monsters don't stick around for long, and the ones that do can be disposed of when they are no longer needed by just Ixies or Link summoning. This is why I think Konami is done with aliens, because the reliance on A-counters will always keep them from catching up. However, I'd love to be proven wrong. Aliens had no appearances in the anime, manga, nor card game Shock Trooper had a cameo appearance in Arc V. That's something. Aliens are my second favorite deck. I love reptiles and I love aliens. I also love the whole concept of infecting enemies with these little biological weapons and then brainwashing them or just killing them outright as an extraterrestrial force bent on taking over the planet. The designs of the monsters are really cool, with a ton of variety between them, and the whole counter manipulation mechanic of theirs is just really fun. Now for the monsters, spells, and traps of the archetype. First up is the oddly placed normal monster, Alien Shock Trooper. A Shock Troop is a type of soldier attack formation. For a long time, I thought he was just a lizard person, but looking closely, he's actually a freaking lizard centaur. It's a level 4 Earth monster with a nice 1900 attack and 800 defense. Its flavor text is, The aliens have used a mysterious biological substance to create a supreme race of soldiers. They do not have the natural power of the other aliens, but can make stunning physical attacks. Wow, so its description accurately reflects the card itself. It even brings up the fact that it's a normie. He's actually used as a 3-of in most alien decks, not only for a dumb beat stick when needed, but Rescue Rabbit can be used for an instant rank 4, usually King of the Feral Imps, to search Ammonite and then you're ready to go Garr next turn. Next is Interplanetary Invader A. While not an alien monster, is clearly related to the archetype because it's an A counter with lazily attached spider legs. Its effect is almost as bad as its artwork too. It's a level 1 light monster with 0 attack and 500 defense. Oh god, and it isn't even a tuner. Its effect is, gain control of a monster that attacks this face-up attack position card at the end of the battle phase. It's one of those cards, the ones that require your opponent to attack them while they are face up to do stuff. Look, unless you're playing against the AI in one of the video games or something, these monsters are worthless! Yeah, I'm looking at you, Decoy Dragon. You got a fucking awesome effect, but nobody's gonna fall for it. Also, if you think he looks cute, look closer. Those baby doll eyes are its nostrils, and those 2 little orange beady eyes are its real ones. Notice the glint? Then again, I suppose Interplanetary Invader A does have a better chance at being attacked since your opponent might really want to get some damage in with that 0 attack gateway to your life points. Still, all monsters like him suck eggs, and aliens already have ways of jacking your opponent's monsters anyway. Next is Alien Psychic, and as you can see by all the stuff he's holding, he works in an office. Good on you for making an honest living instead of dominating planets like everyone else in the archetype. You're really freaking weird looking though. Your tail looks like the tube of a detachable shower head, and you might as well not have any arms because they're so lazily designed. What the fuck is up with the psychedelic head frills? He's a level 1 dark monster with 200 attack and 100 defense. Oh boy, what is it this time? His effect is, this card is changed its defense position when it is normal summoned or flip summoned. Monsters with A counters cannot declare an attack. Wow, that is a really freaking lackluster effect, especially since it has the potential to backfire on you. The only time this is even going to be pulled off with any success is under the effect of Planet Pollutant Virus. If this was an additional effect on one of their spell cards, then that would be fine, but on such a weak monster, it's just bad. Also, I love that position changing effect. That is just so adorable. See, you don't have to worry about taking any damage if you want to get its effect off right away. Sure, it's only got 100 defense, but this tacked on protection effect makes it good now, right? They should have just made it unable to be destroyed in battle, then it would at least be a bit more useful. Which isn't saying much. Next is Alien Ammonite. Does it have a beard? Or are those supposed to be tentacles? Anyway, as its name implies, it's based off an ammonite, which is an extinct species of marine mollusk. It's a level 1 light tuner monster with 500 attack and 200 defense. Its effect is, when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower alien monster from your graveyard. Destroy it during the end phase. Wow, that is a really good effect. Hell, I'd say Ammonite is one of the best archetype tuner monsters in the entire game. Tuner monsters with effect like that usually banish the summoned monster when it's removed from the field, but Ammonite still leaves the alien you summoned ready and waiting for another Ammonite. It's an instant go Garr with no strings attached. Hell, if you already control a level 4 alien, you can make frickin' Trishula. Run 3 of this guy. Next is Alien Grey. Is it just me or does he look kinda cute? Fingers are a little long there, but all in all, it's a cute alien. Its name comes from the typical aliens imaginatively called the Greys. It's a level 2, light, flip effect monster with 300 attack and 800 defense. Its effect is, place 1 A counter on 1 face-up monster on your opponent's side of the field. After this card has been flipped face up, when it is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, draw 1 card. It also has the A counter debuff effect. Okay, this was an acceptable move around the time this guy came out, but nowadays it is really fucking slow. Its effect is very similar to Batteryman and Microcell, but unlike just placing a single piddly little A counter, getting to special summon a Batteryman is actually worth the wait. so Gray is really no better than Skelengel at the end of the day, who, by the way, has an actual body in the anime. Also, I love how it has the A counter debuff effect, just in case your opponent decides to attack you with Clipboard Scout or something. Next is Alien Infiltrator. Its head looks like a weird version of Darth Vader's helmet, which makes sense, cause its Japanese name is Alien Vader. Vade's great, best alien! It's a level 2 Earth monster with 800 attack and 500 defense. Its effect is, once per turn, this card can move to an adjacent, horizontal, unoccupied monster card zone. If no spell, trap, or monster card on your opponent's side of the field is in the same column as this card, it can attack your opponent directly. What the fuck? Did 800 direct damage really warrant this weird gimmick attached to it? Alright, this isn't like the old days where a Naba White Rabbit had to be a spirit because 700 straight to the face was too strong. This was post-Cybernetic Revolution GX era. Alright, to nobody's surprise, this card debuted in Cyberdark Impact, and one of the many problems with Cyberdark Impact was it tried to experiment with this mechanic that involved monsters moving around zones in order to get their really terrible effects off. It even had a support card in Senate Switch. Obviously, nobody gave the time of day to this gimmicky meme shit. I mean, why would you try to introduce an entire mechanic that revolved around the exact placement of your cards? That just makes this overly complex game even more overly complex. Thank Ra, Konami never bothered to revisit this mechanic. Next is Alien Mars. It looks like a gremlin's head with a gross boil on its face attached to Doc Ock's metal arms. Mars is a level 3 fire monster with 1000 attack and defense. Its effect is, the effects of all effect monsters with A counters on them are negated, except for Alien Mars. Okay, on paper this actually looks really good. Sure, it can sometimes backfire on you, but it can pretty much become a one-sided skill drain with Planet Pollutant Virus active. Non-targeting effect negation is just amazing. However, the problem becomes apparent once you remember it's got 1000 stats. It doesn't even have the cute self-preservation effect that Alien Psychic has. Effects like this are usually saved for boss monsters, since they have beefy stats and usually some protective effect. Your opponent doesn't exactly need monster effects to run this thing over after all. Next is Alien's best friend, Alien Dog.
Damn, look at that sumbitch go. He hauling ass. That thing come by my house, I kill it.
And what is that in his mouth? Is that a human bone? Did this pooch just eat someone?
Damn, nature, you scary.
He's a level 3 light monster with 1500 attack and 1000 defense. And yes, he's a reptile, not a beast, because even though that looks like a dog, that ain't a dog. His effect is, when you normal summon an alien monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. When you do, place 2 A counters on face-up monsters your opponent controls. Wow, that is a really solid effect right there. Not only does it provide field presence, but it just places 2 A counters as a bonus. Not a bad way to set things up, especially if you got, like, Garr or Code Ancient Runes out. Also, his effect does not target because the when you do is a follow-up to his summoning condition, not a cost. He's not a perfect pup though. The A counter debuff effect would have been really nice to have on him. Also, his level not being 4 makes no Ixie summoning into King of the Feral Imps with 1 card or anything like that, and no level 4 synchro with Ammonite is going to benefit aliens. Also, if you have no other aliens to summon, this doggo is nothing more than a meat shield. I'm gonna assume they made him level 3 instead of 4 to make him seem subservient to the other monsters of the archetype, and so fucking aliens wouldn't practically have access to a 1-card Trishula with Ammonite. I'd say run 2 of him. 3 is a bit risky because of the brick factor with him. Next is Alien Kid. And yes, if you tune him with Ammonite to make Garr, he can, in fact, become an alien squid. I like your little ray gun, kid. Totally doesn't look like it's made of plastic. He's a level 4 light monster with 1600 attack and 700 defense. His effect is, place 1 A counter on all monsters special summoned to your opponent's side of the field. He also has the A counter debuff effect. Well, his effect certainly has improved over time, considering how prevalent special summoning has become. Depending on what deck you're up against, he could be just as effective as Planet Pollutant Virus is when it comes to A counter distribution. Unfortunately, despite popular belief, normal summoning is still a thing that happens. And with 1600 attack, just about any level 4 monster that's not outright fodder can school this kid. That doesn't diminish his usefulness, it's just a downside you have to keep in mind if you're running him. Next is Alien Hypno. Oh wow, this guy's a looker, ain't he? I thought those Hypno beams were coming from his eyes, but they're coming from his frostbitten fingers. And his shriveled up lower body is in a container for some reason. It's a level 4 water Gemini monster with 1600 attack and 700 defense. Yep, a Gemini monster. Remember when Konami thought that would catch on? You know, those things that required you to give up your normal summon twice just to get some mediocre effect that's not worth the effort? Let's just get this supposedly amazeballs and uber broken effect that couldn't just have been attached to a normal monster sensibly. Its effect is, during your main phase, you can select one monster your opponent controls with an A counter, and take control of it while this card is on the field. During each of your end phases, remove one A counter from each controlled monster. If all A counters are removed from one of these monsters, destroy it. Wow, that's actually fucking good. This guy can join Gigaplan and, Illblood, I guess, in the club of Gemini monsters that are actually worth summoning. Seriously, this guy's a brainwashing beam on legs, and keep in mind it's not once per turn. However, in a deck like Aliens that is pretty slow as it is, a Gemini monster is pretty impractical to work with. Still, if you can pull it off, it's well worth it. Next is Alien Hunter, and despite its name, it is not anti-alien support.
Alien hunting! Alien hunting!
Shh, Patrick, don't let them know we're onto them. Yeah, alien hunting. I saw that on TV too.
When I first saw this guy, I thought its shoulder was like a weird helmet it was wearing, giving it a sort of Ally of Justice Catastor look. But no, it's a lizard with a trident. At least it actually looks like a reptile. He's like a bribe claw from Star Fox Adventures. You know, the one game that actually was never meant to be a Star Fox game at all, but Nintendo saw Rare making a game with a fox protagonist called Dinosaur Planet for one of their consoles, and they were like, no! Make that a game of our mediocre franchise that nobody even cares about post-64, even though the gameplay has nothing to do with the Star Fox series itself. Which is why we shoehorned in arming segments and had its final boss dumbing out of the game and randomly replaced by Andros. Anyway, Hunter is a level 4 water monster with 1600 attack and 800 defense. Its effect is, if this card destroys a monster with an A counter by battle, it can attack once again in a row. Shit. Damn, that's a bummer effect. If he had the A counter to buff effect too, he would be a tolerable monster that could actually run over stuff on his own. But even then, I still wouldn't consider running him. Next is Alien Telepath. Now for a long time, I thought that it had a stringy tail, since you can see it's like a worm thing. But nope, that's a handlebar mustache. It's shooting a fucking laser out of its mustache. And that's a nasty set of teeth it's got. It's a level 4 fire monster with 1600 attack and 1000 defense. Its effect is, once per turn you can remove one A counter from a monster your opponent controls and destroy one spell or trap card. It also has the A counter to buff effect. So it's like Breaker the Magical Warrior in alien form. Only being able to remove from opponents' monsters is kind of a bummer, since Code Ancient Ruins could have provided it with ammo. I guess that's why you only have to remove one, as opposed to Code and Golgar's 2. So yeah, at first glance he seems like an extremely outdated card, and he is. However, I feel like he's the best alien to bring back with Ammonite. You can pop a back row right before you synchro. You can't take the immediate advantage of any other level 4 or lower alien effects like you can with Telepath. You could try running one and see how it works out for you. You might be pleasantly surprised. Next is Alien Skull. Wow, I always forget that this thing even exists, and it's not like it's worth remembering, so you'll soon find out. But first, just look at him. He's like General Grievous from Star Wars mixed with Infamon from Digimon. It's a level 4 wind monster with 1600 attack and 1800 defense. Okay, I'm starting to notice a theme here with the attack of these monsters. Anyway, get a load of this effect. Its effect is, you contribute one face-up level 3 or lower monster on your opponent's side of the field to special summon this card to your opponent's side of the field. If you special summon the monster this way, place one A counter on this card, and you cannot normal summon or set the same turn. It also has the A counter debuff effect. What the fuck am I supposed to do with this shit? Alright, you can't normal summon or set after summoning this guy, which is a bummer, but this was pre-Kaiju YuGiOh. That stipulation was on every monster like him. Still, in Aliens, that really hurts them, since they don't inherently special summon too often. Why the hell does it require the tributed monster to be level 3 or lower? What's the point of that stipulation? Are aliens such a broken archetype that a themed lava golem would be too much? There's almost never going to be a time where you can summon this thing like that, because unless you're playing against a deck like frogs or something, level 3 or lower monsters are generally not going to be sitting around on the field. So what's your reward for doing this? It places an A counter on itself, as if it was a Pokemon and just hurts itself in its confusion. This effectively makes its attack 1300. But why would you want to do that? For Telepath up there? Are you that desperate for a back row pop? For a dumb gateway to your opponent's life points? Except you probably could have ran over that level 3er monster you just cheesed over with your shitty extraterrestrial skeleton? Alas, poor alien, I dueled him well. Next is Alien Warrior. Damn, he looks badass. Seriously, look at those fucking claws. And I think he's enveloped in lightning. Don't mess with this guy. He's a level 4 Earth monster with 1800 attack and 1000 defense. There we go! Finally, a worthwhile attack score on an alien effect monster. His effect is, when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, place 2 A counters on the monster that destroyed it. He also has the A counter debuff effect. That is a great effect, and if you got Code Ancient Ruins out, he can bring himself right back. You can crash him into stuff without worrying about taking a bunch of damage, since he's got a nice 1800 attack. On top of that, this effect doesn't target. Run 3 of them. Next is Flying Saucer Musiki. What the hell kind of name is that? Sure, Garr doesn't seem to have a lot of sense to it, but at least it sounds like the name of an extraterrestrial abomination. Musiki just sounds like the name of a Japanese toy brand. On top of that, it looks like a fleshy volcano. It's a level 5 light machine monster. That's right, not a reptile, but that's fine, because it's technically not an alien monster. Also, it's got 1000 attack and 2000 defense, which doesn't spell out good news for it. Its effect is, while this card is face up on the field, you can select and add 1 alien card from your deck to your hand instead of conducting your normal draw during your draw phase. You know what I love? Tributing a monster for a delayed effect that takes away my normal draw. And with 1000 attack, Musiki is going to be shot down real quick. And your opponent isn't going to be stupid enough to attack a set monster you tributed for. And its defense isn't even proportionate to its level, so even if they got gutsy, they'll be able to kill it with anything they put a lick of effort into summoning. First UFO-roid and now Musiki. Why can't this game get UFO monsters right? Well, they nailed it with UFO Turtle, but they totally dropped the ball after that. Giving stats that would look bleh on a level 4 monster to shit you're expected to tribute for? And for a little bit of trivia, notice that Musiki says alien card, not alien monster. That means it can search back row, but the only speller trap that has alien in its name is Alien Brain. And Alien Brain isn't even direct alien support, it's generic reptile support. Not alien monsters go with not alien support, I guess. Next is Alien Overlord. Wow, look at this guy, he's got so much shit going on right now. What is that thing on its chest? A laser gun? And I bet those arms can be snapped like a twig. It's a level 6 dark monster with 2200 attack and 1600 defense. Its effect is, you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, you can place 1 A counter on each face-up monster your opponent controls. You can only control 1 face-up Alien Overlord. It also has the A counter debuff effect. Now that is a great boss monster. Its summoning condition is pretty easy to pull off, but keep in mind, it's not a Nomi monster, so you can summon it through good old tributing too. Just being able to infect all enemy monsters is just amazing, and more than makes up for the 2 A counters you lost. If your opponent can't deal with it quickly, you can accumulate tons of A counters. It's got the A counter debuff effect on top of that, which means it can run over a lot of stuff, despite its attack stat being the bare minimum of acceptable for a tribute monster. And with its summoning condition, you might have a warrior or something out on the field already, which means you can run over even more things with Overlord. The only downside is you can only control one of them, which is a damn shame because placing 2 A counters every turn, resulting in a 1200 stat debuff just by themselves would be brutally fun. Run at least 2 of it. I personally run 3 because again, it's very easy to summon, but if you don't want to risk bricking, 2 works just fine. Next is Alien Mother, who looks like Summon Skull's mother more than anything. She's a level 6 dark monster with 2300 attack and 1500 defense. Her effect is, if this card destroys a monster with an A counter by battle and sends it to the graveyard, special summon the destroyed monster to your side of the field at the end of the battle phase. When this card is removed from the field, all monsters that were special summoned by this card's effect are destroyed. So basically she's a terrible version of YuGiOh Guardian who doesn't even have the A counter debuff effect to compensate for the fact that her attack value is just over the bare minimum acceptable for a single tribute monster. Aliens have much more straightforward ways of jacking monsters, so don't bother with Mama. Next is Cosmic Horror Gange. Damn, that's such a fucking awesome name, and its artwork is pretty sweet too. It's like a biomechanical version of Cthulhu. It's a level 7 light monster. Oh cool, I can use that Broken Worm support in Aliens with this. With 2600 attack and 2000 defense. I mean the stat lineup for a 2 tribute monster could be worse, I guess. Its effect is, if you're tributing a monster on your side of the field that is owned by your opponent, this card can be normal summoned with 1 tribute. Oh, well there we go, you could summon it with only 1 tribute under very specific conditions. That makes up for the mediocre stats. I'd honestly rather use the Jack monster for an Ixies material so they don't get it right back, but that's just me. Once per turn, you could place 1 A counter on a monster on your opponent's side of the field. It also has the A counter debuff effect. Or you could just use Alien Overlord, who is easier to summon, has a far better and faster effect, and is considered an alien monster so it benefits from the debuff effect. I cut Gange some slack though, since it was in the initial wave of alien support and Overlord didn't come into play until 3 years later. Before we move on from the main deck monsters, there is one more monster I want to cover. Zeta Reticuli. It looks like an off-brand alien monster, doesn't it? Well, don't think it can be used in an alien deck or anything, because not only does it have nothing to do with aliens, the effect also relies on opponents' monsters being banished, which also has nothing to do with aliens. So why am I bringing it up? Because its resemblance to the alien monsters isn't a coincidence, and its name reveals why. Its name comes from Zeta Reticuli, which is a star system. You're probably thinking, well, big fucking deal, Vex, a creature from space references a thing from space. Well, Zeta Reticuli has more significance than just being a star system when it comes to aliens, dear viewer. You see, this is the UFO abduction story that involves the star system. To be more specific, the abduction of Barney and Betty Hill. I'm not going to go into the details, but basically the couple say they were abducted by aliens and suffered many side effects as a result of the aftermath, such as missing time, memory loss, and strange dreams. When put under hypnosis to relieve the experience, Betty constructed a star map she saw in the alien ship. When the star map was deciphered, it matched up with Zeta Reticuli. So yeah, aliens. The final alien monster is Cosmic Fortress Garr. He looks so cool. I'm assuming by its name and the valves on the bottom of it that it's supposed to be a living, fortress. Organic bases of operation are just so uncommon in media, and I just think it's such a neat concept for any extraterrestrials in fiction. Also, it has laser vision. It's a level 5 light synchro monster with a whopping 2600 attack and 1800 defense. That's the highest attack value for any level 5 monster in the game. It requires alien Ammonite and one or more non-tuner alien monsters as material. Okay, that extremely specific summoning requirement explains the high attack. I love how it says one or more non-tuner aliens too. Like if you happen to be controlling 2 alien Greys or an alien Psychic with an alien Mars or some garbage like that. Its effect is, once per turn you can select any number of face-up spell or trap cards, return those cards to their owner's hands, and distribute new A counters among monsters on the field equal to the number of cards returned. Once per turn, you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to destroy 1 card your opponent controls. Wow, so it's mass bouncing of back row for incredible generation of A counters with a nice popping effect by removing 2 of them from anywhere to top it all off? That is really nice. If you're playing against a pendulum deck, you can really generate a lot of counters with this. Just be careful you don't bounce something that has an effect upon activation. Even disregarding your opponent, you can bounce your own floodgates so they won't bother you on your own turn. Some of the alien support seem to be made with Garr in mind too. Brainwashing Beam can be used over and over since it sticks around like Call of the Haunted. Even better, Code Ancient Ruins is very fun to abuse with Garr, because its effect isn't a hard once per turn. You could potentially bring back 2 aliens per turn, and if you control 2 Code Ancient Ruins, that's a possible 4. And if you got 2 Garrs, well, let's just say that this guy opens up a ton of very fun shenanigans. Run at least 2 of him.